talk about this and so much more. Welcome back to the program, Gregory Mannarino. Gregory, I'm not going to say Happy New Year because it's January something. It's too late to say that. But how are you?
Me? I'm just dandy. I'm always dandy, and I'm happy to be here with you. Thanks for having me.
I'm so happy to have you back. No shortage of news to digest. Let's start with this one. Demanding interest rates drop immediately. Just because he demands it, is he going to get it?
Here's the situation with that. I've been calling this for many, many, many months. I've been explaining to people that we're going to see this. This is the death, the end here for the U.S. dollar. It's decimation. It's currency purchasing power loss on a grand scale. And this is exactly what the Federal Reserve was hoping to hear out of his mouth, honestly. How do central banks inflate here? By devaluing the currency, and this is exactly what they want. The Fed is already in full, lower rates mode here. But people don't understand. Let me just say this to your audience who doesn't understand these concepts, because they're not that easy, honestly. In economics and finance, there literally is only two fundamental truths, just two. And this is what they are. Number one, to have a strong economy, you need a strong currency. To have a strong currency, this is number two, you need a corresponding rate of interest high enough to support the purchasing power. So when people hear of a central bank cutting rates, or now a president demanding that rates go lower here, it means you lose. We all lose, because the currency purchasing power gets decimated. I mean, it's an amazing thing. This is an economic wrecking machine. This is why the world, not just here in the United States, is really in the economic spot that it's in. It's central banks destroying the purchasing power of the currency via the mechanism of artificially suppressed rates. And no one's told this stuff, but it's really the truth. So what does this mean? Rates go lower, the purchasing power loses its ability to acquire goods and services here. And again, it makes our lives harder. The standard of living will be suppressed here. We're being thrust into a new system here. The crypto president, the Bitcoin president here, honestly, it's crazy, and being pulled further and further away from any kind of a constitutional money system. But this is, look, people like myself and who are into the crypto space, we're not going to lie, we made a lot of money here, and a lot of it's thankful to Trump here, who's been, pushing Bitcoin and stuff for quite a while now. He used to be completely against it, but now he's for it. Okay, but this isn't really the issue. The issue is that we are now, unfortunately, in my view, seeing a hideous thing happen, a deregulation of the banks, deregulation of cryptocurrencies, a merging of the two, and being thrust into a new system in the dollar. Here's what you were just mentioning here. You can't read this. President Trump says he'll demand interest rates drop. This has to happen. I've been explaining to people that this is how it would play out. The two things we were going to see with the Trump presidency was emerging into the new system, or morphing via making cryptocurrencies mainstream. And number two, to help the Federal Reserve kill the dollar, to destroy the purchasing power. And this is exactly what's happening. I'm actually, not that I'm shocked, but to see it happening so early in his presidency is a little shocking to me, because it tells me that we're being bridged faster into the new system.
I find these comments interesting. As we know, he's had a contentious relationship with Powell, whom he's appointed. He frequently criticized Powell, calling policymakers boneheads, comparing Powell to a golfer who can't putt. These comments now come. He made them at the World Economic Forum ahead of the next Fed meeting. But you're saying the Fed is welcoming in this. Do you really?
Oh, of course. Well, the Fed's cutting every central bank. That's what they're doing.
You think Powell wants to hear this?
Of course he does. What happened during Trump's last tenure when the Fed wasn't lowering rates fast? Trump had called them boneheads. Why? Because the Fed wasn't cutting rates to zero and even possibly negative, which would be an absolute, let's just light our currency on fire here. The Federal Reserve has now been in the process of lowering rates. When a central bank lowers rates, it allows them to inflate. How? A central bank just can't wave a magic wand and allow and just order rates to drop. They have to create the currency out of nothing, huge amounts, and get into the debt market and buy the debt. That suppresses rates. Now, when a president here says, hey, you know what? I'm going to demand that we lower rates, that gives the Fed the green light to create massive currency out of thin air and buy more debt. But that's not the setup. Let me explain to people what's really going to happen here. And this is what I've been telling people. So this call now from Trump to, I'm going to demand that the Federal Reserve lower rates. The Fed's going to push back. And this is a game. The pushback from the Federal Reserve is going to be, hold on a second. We will do what we want when it's appropriate. Behind the scenes,
exactly.
This is what the Fed has been planning for a very long time. Every central bank's the same boat. They all operate the same way, and this allows them to inflate. Central banks get to issue more of their product to the world. It's an incredible thing that we're witnessing here, but most people have no idea how it works. So you're going to hear, there's going to be this pushback, kind of like Trump is fighting the Fed. The Fed's not going to, and people are going to fall into it because a lot of people that follow Trump think he can do no wrong, no matter what happens. Now, with this, people are going to say, hold on a minute, the Fed isn't lowering rates fast enough. What this means, look, when the Fed lowers rates and the currency loses purchasing power, that means, again, it makes our lives harder. You got to work longer and harder to earn more currency to buy the same things that you did before. And again, understanding the mechanism, it's a terrible thing to see. We don't need lower rates. The fact of the matter is we need much higher rates. What lower rates is going to do is keep that doorway open for cash to make its way into the stock market, inflating a larger bubble by inflating the debt. The mechanism here is so, honestly, it's dastardly. I don't know the way to put it. And you got puppets around the world, puppet leaders working with their central banks and trying to tell people this is good for them. We do not need lower rates. We need higher rates. Why? Because that would improve the purchasing power of the currency. And that would build the economy from the bottom up, not from the top down. When you hear of a president or a central bank wanting weaker, lower rates here, all it does is it creates a mechanism called the Cantillon effect. Basically, the creation of more money, easy money here, allows the 1% and 2% who are closer to the money to profit from it first before the trickle down through the economy and it gets to you and I when the currency's been massively devalued. Again, this is stuff that is so above most people's ability to understand, but the concept is very simple. Breaking it down, it just means we are going to lose purchasing power. That's what it comes down to, and allowing central banks to fulfill their goal, to own it all. The best friend of any central bank is a president or a leader calling for lower rates. That is a fact. And I've been telling people this for the longest time. And today, this is breaking news. You're the first person to get this out here. It's pretty incredible.
Explain this then, because obviously Trump wants to leave a legacy that he's not, creating economic pain. What he wants people rejoicing, right?
He has been rejoicing anyway. Go ahead.